Hello and welcome to Horologique. Today we will be reviewing the Saint Martin Retro Diver GMT Luxury. It's this little beauty you see here, and as you can see I have chosen the all-white dial version. And that is for a very specific reason, because it reminds me of the beautiful and very rare, even legendary, albino Rolex GMT reference 6542. The backstory is that that watch was made to 100 exemplaries only for the executives at Pan Am Airlines. So as you can guess, it's a really elusive and very extremely rare watch. So I got this one because it reminded me of that legend. As often, let's start with dimensions, and we've got a diameter of 41, pretty big. We've got a height of 13.5, and that's because of that domed sapphire. We've got a lug-to-lug of 48, and we've got a lug width of 20. And the construction is all stainless steel, the crystal is sapphire, and the bezel insert is also sapphire. And it is lumed, as you will see in the Lume video. The case is beautifully made with these very nice chamfers that remind me of the Rolexes of yesteryear. And so is the bracelet, which has 4 rivets, which has a 3-link construction, and the clasp here is signed. The crown also is signed with that beautiful, very nice aggressive shark in there. And that case, it is quite literally sublime. It is so well brushed. Those chamfers are amazingly nice, and the fact that the sides are brushed too make it that this watch will be a bit more impervious to scratches, and that is wonderful. As we're in the side view, take a look at that domed, boxed sapphire crystal. I believe it's a double domed because you don't have the distortion that you had on the vintage submodel, for example. That is a choice. I like that distortion because it brings a vintage look to the watch. So the movement is a Hangzhou 6460, and this is a clone of the ETA 2893 GMT. And it has 25 joules and has a high beat of 28,800 beats per hour. Let's set the GMT. You've got a screw down crown, of course, which allows those 200 meters of water resistance. And first position is just hand winding. And the winding is good, a bit gritty, a bit hard, but nothing too irregular. Alright, second position is, there it would be date changing, but there is no date here. And if you move counterclockwise, you see that I am adjusting the GMT hand. And contrary to other GMT Chinese watches, like for example the Pagani design, this GMT jumps from one hour to the other automatically, and you cannot freely adjust it, which is better. I prefer it this way. See, clicks into place at each position. That is pretty good. And last position, hacking. Honestly, this is a lovely watch. Take a look at that beautiful dial. Of course, it's a matter of taste. You might be more inclined to get the black version, which is totally understandable, but I got this white one. So the dial is very good. I'm gonna put in some macros of those hands and some macros of the text on the dial, and as you can see, everything is very well executed. I think this is the best Saint Martin that I have viewed, that I have reviewed at this level of macro. Barely any outside particles. A very nice work, and kudos to Saint Martin for that. Also, that white dial, it doesn't leave you indifferent, and that Lume sapphire insert is wonderful. Actually, let me show you the Lume right away. So, as you can see, a very nice green Lume. I believe it is C3 Super Luminova Swiss Lume. And a very important detail, the bezel insert, the sapphire bezel insert, is also lumed. So that is a wonderful detail, especially for GMT, because it means that you can see on a plane, for example, you can see your watch, your hour in the dark, and that is wonderful. But if you're willing to buy this watch, there are a few things that you should know. First of all, the price. This one today is at 322 euros. That is a lot of money to ask for a watch with a Chinese clone movement from a brand that has so many wonderful offers at such low prices, like the Sub Homage and the Vintage Sub Homage, that are amazing watches that cost half what this one costs. When I asked Saint Martin about why this one costs so much, they told me it was because of many factors. First, because the movement was expensive, even though it's a clone, it's not cheap, it's certainly more expensive than an NH36. And then there's this bezel insert. Apparently with the process they're using, it is very hard on a sapphire crystal to separate two colors. I don't know, that's what they told me. I cannot verify if that is true or not, but that is what they have said. So those were the reasons why this watch is so expensive. And personally, I don't think it justifies that expense, sadly. I would have loved this watch to come in at 250 euros, even 230 on sale. That would be an instant sale for me. But at 320, so 100 euros more than what you're expecting to pay, it's a bit of a hard sale, at least in my opinion. And then there's the dimensions. I would have loved it if they had kept the 39 millimeters diameter of the sub vintage. And I asked Saint Martin about these, and they told me it was because of the movement. Because of the movement, they could not make this watch smaller. In fact, it is larger than their usual sub homage, coming in at 41 millimeters in diameter. And it's not in any way a big watch, even for smaller wrists, but you do feel that it's a bigger watch. And that kind of does not go with the aesthetic of an older watch. Imagine these in a 39, even 38 millimeter frame. That would be even more amazing, because it looks a bit too bulky. And then, at least in this white dial version, there's those lume pips. The color looks wrong to me. I would have loved these to be a bit darker, even to match the color of the numerals on the bezel insert. And then there's the bracelet. From my review of the vintage sub, you know that I don't like these 4 rivet bracelets. Tudor is also guilty of these. So the bracelet is very well brushed, in general good quality, but I don't like the fact that it's a 3-piece bracelet with this sheet of polished metal that has been added to this link, to all the links, and I don't like that. It makes things complicated, and I do not like the way you have to size this bracelet. You have to take 2 screwdrivers at the same time and you have to take it off. You might argue that it's only once, but okay. But it's annoying. The clasp, I don't have anything against it. I do not complain at all. It's a perfectly good clasp with 4 levels of micro adjustment. And let it be noted that they have added that last link without a rivet, so you can freely use all the 4 links now, which was not possible with the first versions of the vintage sub. And then there's the fact that this watch has no date window. Why is that? A GMT watch with no date window? That is, well, that is pretty dumb. Why do that? Everybody knows that all GMT watches have to have a date window. I mean, if you're traveling, it is very important that you know what day it is. So I don't know why that is, especially at this movement, being a clone of the 2893 does have a date function. So to wrap it up, guys, a very beautiful watch, paying homage to a unicorn of a watch. So very interesting on that respect, beautifully made with amazing brushing, almost perfect execution, but just a tad too expensive, a tad too big, and with a bracelet that really could be better. But I believe that the hardest part for people with this watch is going to be that price tag. Saint Martin, if you can afford it, make this watch smaller, first of all, and then make it less expensive. And I am sure that with those two, this one will sell really, really well. Thank you again for having watched the review. Remember to subscribe to the channel. I am almost at 2,000 subscribers, and at 2,000 I'm gonna be giving away a Steel Dive 1970. So thank you very much for having watched the video. Have a great day, and I'll be seeing you very soon. Goodbye.